I know there are people out there asking the question if the Celtics are holding Jaylen Brown back. I'm going to be honest. I don't think they are. And I think that a lot of the times when it comes to sports, everybody tends to gravitate towards the underdog. And Jaylen Brown, when it comes to Jason Tatum, is the underdog in this situation because Tatum, let's be honest, he was heralded as a star. First playoff run as a rookie, he's the face. It's Tatum versus LeBron. It's never been Jaylen Brown versus these top end guys. And I think that's where the frustration lies for Jaylen Brown. You got to understand, these two guys are of similar age. I think they are of similar skill set too. Tatum at his best is better, but Jaylen Brown is more consistent, so he looks better more often than Jason Tatum. It's tough when two guys of similar tiers are trying to get the number one spot because with a team like Golden State, we always knew it with Steph. Klay Thompson never gave pushback. Why? Because there's a gap between those guys as players. But when you are of similar tier, it's very hard to see somebody else get more shine, get more recognition, get more opportunity when you feel like you're just as good. And I think that's what Jaylen Brown is going through right now. He had 16 points in the first half. And in the second half, he had 6 points. I hated the quote of Jaylen Brown saying, I guess I got to demand the ball a little bit more because good things happened when I had the ball. I hated that quote. The reporter asked him how he can be more involved in the offense. The reason why I hated that quote is, okay, maybe Jaylen Brown individually wasn't great in the second half. He was not iced out of the offense. He was coming off of pin downs, getting the ball. He was involved as a playmaker. The Sixers started playing a zone, so he had to pass out these double teams, and he was passing out of those. He was getting the ball. He was playmaking. He had a couple potential assists. He had some assists. And even in the fourth quarter, he missed 3 shots. Jaylen Brown had opportunities. So this narrative that he's been completely iced out of the offense is ridiculous. And the Celtics offensive rating in the second half was 139. For reference, the historic Sacramento Kings offense of this regular season, offense rating was like 121. The Celtics fourth quarter offense rating was 133. The Celtics offense was fantastic. The entire second half, they came back down double digits. Tatum led the way in the second half, by the way. People love to just shove that under the rug when it comes to the Jaylen Brown thing. And the Celtics had a chance to win. Marcus Smart, last shot of the fourth quarter. He could have gamed it. He could have won the game in overtime. Just got the ball a little bit too late, half the second away from taking a 3-1 lead. Yet Jaylen Brown at the end of the game is talking about maybe I should be more demanding of the ball. I thought in that point in time, an appropriate answer would have been, I think that I got the ball. I think I was involved in the offense. We had a lot of great looks. We could have won the game off that Marcus Smart 3, and our offense was great. I don't think that I needed to get the ball more because I don't think Jaylen Brown ISO possessions would have helped the Celtics win that game. I think the Celtics played winning basketball. They just lost, and sometimes that happens. But I don't think the Celtics are holding Jaylen Brown back. I don't think that at all.
I do agree with you on that point. He only took 3 shots in the fourth quarter and overtime. Smart took double that. Really what it comes down to is that he's oftentimes not creating an advantage by drawing a second defender, right? So he's reliant on the tougher shot making. Brown's a tough shot maker, but when the shots aren't falling coming off a ball screen or a pin down like you alluded to before, well, then he's not generating high-level offense. And for the Celtics, they made that comeback, that surge in the fourth quarter. It's like, oh, here they go. This is where the 76ers fold. But then with 5 minutes left, they have 2 back-breaking turnovers. Malcolm Brogdon dribbles right into James Harden. Harden had himself a great defensive game. I think Brogdon's had nightmares of him for quite some time because he was swan stopped. He was going the backward Wilson. He was ripping him. And then a couple possessions later, Jason Tatum's gained a rebound. And they're trying to push in transition. Look, the Celtics, they're going to win this series out in transition. They're younger. They're faster. They have more juice. That's how they're going to do it. But they didn't execute well enough in the fourth. They didn't do a good job of that in game 4. If they can take better care of the ball, they're more aware. And with how many smart decision makers they have on the team, we praise all of these guards. They're actually, not turning over the ball every 5 seconds. that's going to be a pretty big differential in this matchup because Philadelphia is not a good transition team. And I felt like they kind of shot themselves in the foot in those little stretches with those back-breaking turnovers, just a couple of them that did halt their momentum from truly taking over with about 4 or 5 minutes left in the fourth.
But Marcus Smart taking double the shots, I think, is a testament to him being open. I think there was the way I saw the Celtics offense down the stretch was a bunch of drives and kickouts to open shooters or drawing fouls. They were efficient offensively, and Marcus Smart was taking open shots. Those are shots that I'm okay with. I understand he took double, but it wasn't like Joe Mazzulla said, Marcus Smart, here you go, pick and roll. You're gonna take it, you're gonna get an advantage. No, it was they ran the offense. He happened to be open in the right spot. He took a shot. And Marcus Smart was also good in the fourth quarter. It wasn't bad. He was good.
I do think I think the Boston's holding Jaylen Brown thing back. I think that's more an ego thing. I think Jaylen Brown could go to another team, average 27 and 28 points. He'd be the number one guy. He'd get as many shots. I think the difference is more what is the winning going to look like? And I think that's what Jaylen Brown needs to look at more. You're on a championship level team. You've been on that for the past 2-3 seasons. I don't see why you would leave that, but we've seen in certain situations, guys want more. And guys want to be the one that's getting all the praise and want to be the one that's getting all the hype and excitement. So I think, we've seen that time and time again, so it's not unnormal, but I do think the dynamic is good between those two. I don't think Brown should leave, but this whole thing with Brown being better than Tatum down the stretch or Brown being the number one option, that's just wrong. I think Brown isn't the number one option. He may be a more consistent scorer, but he doesn't see the same defensive coverage as Tatum. I mean, we watched him in the finals. They were pretty much zoning in on Jason Tatum. They were kind of letting Jaylen Brown go one-on-one with whoever he was in front of, whether it's Draymond, whether it's Clay. But they were honing in on Tatum, kind of creating a wall on Tatum. They don't really do that for Jaylen Brown. His game is very isocentric. They let guys go one-on-one with him. So I think that really matters, defensive coverages. But, yeah, that was it.
It's odd when it comes to Jaylen Brown because usually players do want to leave for a bigger role, but they leave for the role and for the money. I think of Jeremy Grant, who him going to Detroit was the reason why he was able to get a lucrative contract. Jaylen Brown is going to get a lucrative contract with the Celtics, more than any team can offer him.
If he gets All-NBA tomorrow, it's going to be $200+ million.
If he leaves that on the table and it goes to a different team, it's going to showcase just how much he wanted to leave the situation. And based off his comments, Jaylen Brown feels like a player that doesn't want to be on the team. And I think it sucks because the Celtics have the talent to win a championship. But if everybody's not bought in, I mean, we've seen in NBA history before that it can still lead to a championship, but the odds definitely get diminished. And with Jaylen Brown, the quote he had at the post game, it wouldn't bother me if it was a one-time instance. But it feels like every month we're getting a new Jaylen Brown quote on just how much he wants a new role.
Do you think that's probably because every day in press conferences he's being asked about his role and reporters are pointing out, hey, Jaylen, you took this many shots, but Jason Tatum took that much. And maybe because he has to answer those questions, that's how he's coming off?
I think that's definitely the case. I think it's definitely the case, but I think at that point it's on him to answer those in a manner where the reporters know they don't have to ask you that no more, because these reporters are usually reporters that are with these guys for the entirety of the season. So you get to know them. And I think if you set that boundary of, hey, listen, I'm not going to talk about that. Jason Tatum's my teammate. He played great. I think over time, it's just going to get bored. It's going to get boring. Maybe over time, once Jaylen Brown gets paid, if he does stay in Boston, those questions will stop being asked. But I do understand where you're coming from with that perspective.